I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, I guess one piece of news that we did get, which I don't know if this is exactly the first time we've heard this, but it is interesting, or at least we heard this for the iPhone 13. But iPhone 14 apparently is getting a 48 megapixel camera. Um, Not too surprising here. We heard, like I said, this rumor with the iPhone 13 that we would get a higher resolution main camera. Seems like that's going to be happening with the iPhone 14. It's fine. I'm sure, there's a few ways you can go about this. I'm going to bring up this article real quick just to make sure. But yeah, I see it now. Basically, the idea here is you're not going to get a 48 megapixel sensor, but you're going to use pixel binning, which basically means it takes the 48 megapixels and instead of, just taking a picture and you have a 48 megapixel sensor, it bends them together, meaning it kind of attaches them together. So you can have multiple pixels that creates one big pixel, and then in software it creates like a equivalent 12 megapixel image, but you get more detail and more information because there's actually more pixels there. Seems like that's what Apple's going to be doing. That's what companies like Google do with the Pixel. Like it has a 50-ish, something like that. I'm trying to look at my Pixel here. Sensor, but it only outputs 12 megapixel images, but they're really sharp and really detailed, and that's because of that binning. Seems like that's what Apple's going to be doing here. No real surprise there.
Yeah, this rumor has now been confirmed. I think this is like the second independent source or the third to like confirm that this is coming. So like hopefully it seems like it's actually real. And what's interesting about this is that I think the great MKBHD, he did a video a little while ago like reviewing all the iPhone models, and he had an interesting graph in there about the camera upgrades the phones have gotten. And I think Apple has been using 12 megapixel sensors for years. Like we have
Since
not
the 5?
Something like that. Like
Something
we haven't
like that.
gone
It's been
above
a while,
12.
yeah.
So this would be, at least in terms of hardware, one of the most significant camera updates we've seen come to the iPhone, which is really cool to see. And like Matt said, probably would be not 48 megapixel stills, but like 12 megapixels, but now with that pixel binning sort of higher resolution. And then the other part to this is that in theory, some rumors suggest that we could see 8K video recording on the 14 Pro. Now this seems a little ambitious. Samsung has been doing this, but there has been like heavy limitations on like how long you can shoot, how you can do it, all this stuff. Do we think that the iPhone 14 Pro can shoot 8K video, and what will be the limitations to that? Is it going to be like ProRes where you have to have a certain capacity of phone to be able to even have that feature unlocked fully?
Yeah, I think there's a chance that we're going to see it if Apple can pull it off. I would say the processors are definitely capable of processing 8K video, but in current form, you physically cannot shoot 8K video because I'm looking it up just to make sure. But I believe 8K is 32 megapixels per still. I believe that's what it is. It's 8K is 760 or 7680 by 4320, which is huge. So I mean, that's crazy. But basically, point being, you need more resolution in the actual sensor to even shoot 8K, and you can't do it with the iPhone that we have now. So if they were going to add it, then this would be the way to do it. I don't think they would do it unless they can get HDR working. That's something that was a big limitation with like the Samsung phones is, yes, it technically does 8K, but the HDR is not nearly as good. So if they can do that, I would say, they do 4K with everything has HDR, and in 8K you can do like 1080p. Oh, stupid. That might be the dumbest thing I've ever said. 8K and HDR at 30 frames per second, not 8K 1080p. You get what I'm saying. Maybe not all the way to 60 frames per second. I'd be more interested to see 4K at like 120. That'd be cool. Especially for B-roll for us. That'd be awesome to have 120 to really get those smooth shots. Yeah, the camera upgrades, I hope we'll see more as we go. I mean, we saw the news about the periscope camera a while ago, and I think that's still in the works to happen. Basically, to get more zoom optically, what you have to do, just because it's such a small space, is you have to actually turn the camera sideways. So instead of pointing out the lens, it's actually pointing up or sideways towards the lens, and then they use mirrors to then capture the light, and then that way you can have more physical space and get more optical zoom. And there's a bunch of phones that do that. I believe the S21 does that. The Pixel here that I have does that, and it works. You get really high quality zoom without sacrificing on a ton of space. So I think that's coming as well. Yeah, I mean, camera changes are always good, especially when it comes to the iPhone. And of course, we'll see like the software changes and all that kind of stuff. Hey, you made it to the end of this Apple Circle podcast clip, but there is a full episode. So if you want to listen to that, click the video over here. You can watch the entire thing. Or if you're someone who just wants to listen in your headphones, we have the audio version. Of course, links for that where you can subscribe and listen in your favorite audio podcast player is down below. And last but not least, the Apple Circle channel, where we have mini videos covering everything Apple, is also linked down below. So be sure to check that out and get subscribed.